The USMNT camp where they faced Portugal and Belgium was a disaster, to say the least. We conceded 7 goals and only scored 2 through the entire 2 matches. And there's a lot of questions after this camp and only 2 months to answer these questions before the 2026 World Cup starts. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel less optimistic than I maybe have ever felt for the USMNT. And this is even after we got grouped in the 2024 Copa America. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MLS Moves presented by FanDuel. Please make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I brought on Derek Ritchie from the Straight Red Card to break down this camp, what he thought players stocks up, stocks down, and what should the mood be heading into the 2026 World Cup after what we just saw. All right, Derek. So it's maybe a week ago, maybe a little less than a week ago, you came on here. We talked about Portugal and Belgium. We did a preview, talked about things we're looking for, stock up, stock down on players. And I asked you, I said, do you think that regardless of what happens, is this going to make you feel a certain type of way, like pessimistic, optimistic, or, are you going to probably be the same no matter what the results are? So I want to start off by asking you this. After the 2 games we just watched between Belgium, 5-2 loss, Portugal 2-0 loss, do you feel any different than you did a week ago?
Well, after watching what I just watched, I do feel different. And then I have some prayers. I'm not a particularly religious person. But after watching all the tinkering, that Pochettino made this all about him. This didn't have to be that way. But when you use 8 subs and 9 subs and you're trying out different formations and then you don't start a striker in the second game, that's somebody who's got some sort of arrogant ideas about how he can influence how this team plays and make some sort of difference on just through him and his ideas. And you're thinking, wow, that's pretty arrogant. That is really arrogant. Why not just stick to something standardized that's been worked versus Uruguay, and it's been working for a while? Why are we messing around this late in the game? And then it came to me and I thought, well, Jurgen Klinsmann messed around for a while, but when he finally got to the World Cup, he sobered up and said, you know what? We're going to play some pretty pragmatic soccer from here on out. I can only hope that's what we're going to do, because we are not ready to go toe-to-toe with teams like Belgium and Portugal playing their game. Like, that's not going to work. They're more talented. They've got obviously better players, which Poch had to make a point of. Don't know why. It's like we all know that. Of course, Portugal's got better players. Thank you. So yeah, I'm hoping some sort of pragmatic thinking occurs between now and the World Cup, and that we realize we can play that way against CONCACAF teams and minnows, but when you're playing the better teams like Belgium and Portugal, you have to be pragmatic. Otherwise, you start to look pretty gosh darn naive. And have to say, we looked naive in these 2 games. So there's that.
Well, I did a post game with Adam last night, and he said that he's giving Poch the benefit of the doubt, and that this is kind of like what you're saying. He's tinkering a little bit. He's experimenting, which I say is always for college. And he is going to tighten things up when it gets real, right? This is just dipping his toe in the water. Hell, maybe jumping in full bear, right, into the water.
Well, then he shouldn't have told us that this is the start of the World Cup, which is what he literally said, right?
Exactly. So exactly. So he's kind of put those expectations or that target on his back by telling us that, right? We're kind of looking at this through a different lens because he said this. If he came out and said it's experimental and that we're just trying things out, we're trying to figure out who's going to make the team, then we would probably feel different about what we just saw. But when he says this kicks off the World Cup tour, then pressure, expectations start to come in. And so, I don't think that Poach is playing any 4D chess where, I saw people in the comments saying, yeah, but Will, we looked good in the first half of both games. That was the A team. That's what we're going to look like in the World Cup. And I'm just thinking, but I don't know, man. Like, I just don't understand the philosophy of not at least one game, Derek, playing the starting 11. Just one. Like, I'm not saying you had to do your ideal starting 11 for both matches, but we didn't even get to see it for one game. Like you said, there were 8-9 substitutions in both games. It felt very soulless to me.
It did. It was soulless. Listen, I don't know if I played, competitive soccer, and I can guarantee you everybody knew who the starting 11, 12 guys were. There might be a change here and there occasionally, but we always knew. And sometimes you need to, by the way, in high school soccer in the United States, you can sub off and sub back on. Okay.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, but they give you a 5-minute blow or a break and you come back on the pitch. But everybody knew who the starters were. We should know that too, which leads me to kind of question, does he know yet? I think he does, but I'm not quite sure. But I think he does because the starting 11 for the second game had 5 changes in it. I'm not really worried about the Freeze-Turner, changes. I am concerned that, and again, you can give Poach the benefit of the doubt, and history shows that once the big tournament hits, guys like Klinsmann go, okay, well, I had this big dream about how we were going to play this amazing new soccer, but now that the tournament's hit, I'm going to get real pragmatic, and we're going to play in a way that makes it feasible for us to go a little bit deeper, because you can't go toe-to-toe. So, yeah.
Well, and I want to say, too, one more thing. We were very excited when he was hired. I think a lot of people were. There was like some hope, optimism about, pairing a coach with a very good resume with talent that we've arguably never had before on the national team, and to see if we could really test our limits, right? But I'll be honest with you, man, just this whole time, and I was talking to my buddy Vince about this last night, it just feels like he doesn't care. Like, I just don't feel like there's any urgency with Poach right now. And look, maybe that's just how he is as a person. Maybe he's just that calm, collected guy who doesn't really get fazed. But it just feels like he's just checked out, man. Like, he is just not there right now.
I don't know if it's care, because I know that, this will have some reflection on him, although he'll always be able to go and say, well, it wasn't me, obviously. This team's just not that good, which he's been telling us for a while, by the way, by saying we don't have any top 100 players. I think we might have one. Our players don't play in the Champions League. Excuse me? Multiples of our players play in the Champions League. What are you talking about? So I think, he can always provide himself some cover. I think the real thing is he just always comes off as condescending. And there is a difference between being a confident person and being an arrogant person. I think Pochettino, his toes are firmly dipped in arrogance. They're not dipping in confidence. And what an arrogant person will do, for instance, where a confident person would not, is when things don't work out, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always the players. He's very rarely taken any responsibility for the team looking bad or playing bad or not working out. It's always effort, and we're too stupid. We're Americans. We don't understand the culture, the real culture of soccer. How many times is he going to say that? How many times is he going to lecture us? Listen,
Hey everyone, quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. If you're into soccer like I am, you already know how exciting La Liga, the Premier League, and MLS matches can get. With FanDuel, you can make it even more fun by placing bets on your favorite teams and matches across all three leagues. Whether it's a Premier League showdown, a La Liga thriller, or an MLS game with your local club, FanDuel makes it easy and exciting to bet on what you watch. Just remember, you have to be 21 years or older to play. Please bet responsibly and only if you're of legal age and in a state where it's allowed. Download the FanDuel app or head over to fanduel.com, sign up, and get in on the action. Thanks for supporting the channel through FanDuel.
Asshole, quit lecturing us and just go and do your job and quit telling us things we already know. We know that Portugal and Belgium have generally better players, but this is also the first time in my history of covering the game, which spans back 35 years, that we have players playing on Champions League teams and players playing on some of the biggest name clubs in the world: Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, Juventus. I mean, Leverkusen's a big club in Germany, by the way. So I don't get it. I don't know. He bothers me. I'm not sure. I'm sure if I sat down and had a beer and a talk with Pochettino, we'd be okay. But the way he presents himself to the American public and especially the American soccer covering press, it's pretty arrogant, period.
Oh, I agree. And that's that kind of like transitioning to the players, right? And I do think the players kind of feed off the coach, whatever energy they're giving off. And I just feel like there's a lot of very heartless play on the pitch and just very underwhelming in general. And so I want to ask you this. You know, I asked you before the tournament started or the camp started, who are some players that are stock up, stock down, or who are you looking to see rise to the occasion? We'll start off with the positive, just because we have been, we've been honest, but we'll start with a little positive. Who do you think stock is up post this camp? Is there any players that you feel better about after this camp?
The only player I feel a little bit more comfortable with is Matt Freese.
Me too.
That's a smidge. That's a smidge. I'm just saying a very tiny amount better. I don't really feel confident in anybody else. There's a lot more stock down than stock up, but I also don't think it's all their fault. I think Jedi performed pretty well most of the time he was on the pitch, but that's not a stock up. That's just like he did what we thought he was already capable of doing, maybe a little less in some regards. But I don't have a big stock up. I really don't. All the guys that I already had a high opinion of, or at least a genuine opinion, that all stayed the same. There were some mild stock downs, but then I look at what Poch did to set those players up, and I'm like, can I really point at Reyna and go stock down? Not really. He didn't get to play he just got to play in the chaos garbage minutes where there were 8 new players on the pitch. And nobody actually knew what there was chaos in the sense the chaos was so bad that on something as common as a corner kick, we couldn't figure out that someone needed to be at the top of the box to cover guys that are open. A standard operational thing for any soccer team is to have one person at the Elfmeter, in Germany, who's ready to cover the guys at the top of the box, whoever gets it. But you don't just leave that wide open. And then for the reaction to be so slow, it was abominable. So we can't even get the basics right. So stock up, not much. Stock the same, a lot. Most of this goes on Poch. We can go ahead and blame all the players that we want. That's fine. But I think when you're put in this kind of, well, now we don't really play a 4, we play a 3. No, we kind of play a 3, but it's a fluid 4 and 5. Just pick something. You're not fooling anybody with what you're doing. Pick something, stick with it, and let's learn it together and put the same guys on the pitch together so they can learn to play together. This is really simple stuff. But when you're arrogant, you think you can meddle, and he's meddling.
Well, I want to show you this. Like, I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to get a copyright strike of the João Felix wide open. No one's marking him. But this bothered me. And, I'm sure you saw it. I shared it yesterday. But look at how much space in the box this player has. There's no one near him in the box. Nobody's near him. There's 5 people. They've got him in a circle, but there's no one close to him to close down. I mean, now Chris Richards is right here. He's closing on him. I think that this is... I think that's Trusty. It's kind of hard to see. That's Tillman. That's Aiden Morris. And then this looks like, I'm not sure who this is right here, but I know this is Aiden Morris. But if you look at them, they look like they're jogging, like they're not even, there's no urgency or anything to get to close this player down.
And who are the 2 dudes standing behind the guy with possession?
Oh, so Aiden Morris is the one to on the left side. And on the right side, I want to say that is maybe Pulisic. I know that Tillman's at the bottom left, and I think that's Trusty in the far left. That's Chris Richards. But the one okay, my mouse isn't showing up, but the one behind him to his left is Aiden Morris, and he looks like he's trotting.
He is trotting. It's not his responsibility as far as he's concerned, nor the person with his hands down his pants. That's what it looks like, who looks like he's a referee, but is actually a player that's totally unengaged with this play. Again, it's not my responsibility. Here's the thing. When, no one's willing to take the responsibility, this is what happens. You're kind of out of the play at this point. You're probably not going to make that big of a difference. You're trailing behind the play. Whatever's going to happen is probably going to happen. You're not going to inflict any sort of change, but give it a shot. Why not try? Why not try to show up and help? But okay, you can put this one on the players, I think, to some degree. But again, the chaos that ensued really was because I think a lot of the guys looked pretty uncomfortable out there in their assignments. So
I was going to say like that's kind of like one of my points I made earlier about, the figurehead or it's kind of trickling down the vibe, the energy that Pochettino's giving. Like he kind of himself arrogant, don't really care, kind of seems checked out. I'm too cool for school. And it feels like the players are kind of adopting that. And I just want to say, you've been watching soccer longer than I have. Okay. I'm not trying to age you, but you got way more experience watching soccer. Obviously you've been watching it for 35, 40 years. Yep. If we play Argentina, a top team in the world, or we play Spain and we give an attacker that much space in the box, how ugly is the game going to be?
Oh, we're going to get our butts kicked.
Yeah.
We're going to get slaughtered if we decide we're going to play Spain or Argentina, straight up. We're going to get our asses handed to us. So that's going to be on Poach to figure out, is it time to be a little more pragmatic here? Is it okay in this day and age to make sure you're locked down defensively and hit people on the counter like we used to? That used to work. I don't think our players, even though they might be playing in bigger places than they've ever played before, I don't think we've advanced our game to the point where we can play teams like that, or Belgium, or Portugal, head straight up and expect to beat them. In fact, Belgium was fine giving us the ball. They're like, go ahead, have it. We'll play the counterattacking team. We don't care. We'll beat you. You think go ahead, here, have it. We'll just play in a mid block, low block, mid to low block, and then when we get possession, we're going to take it right down your poop chute. And that's what they did. So there you go.
So I want to ask you, you said a minute ago that you only had one, it's like a smidget, like you said, super tiny increase in stock up, which was Matt Freeze. And you said it's like microscopic, right? We're splitting hairs. Okay. So you said, I think you followed up in saying that you didn't really see a lot of stock down. So is there any players that you're disappointed in, if you're not going to say stock down, like in any player in particular that you're just like, man, that guy had a horrible camp?
This again gets down to smidge. But I think Matt Turner was a smidge down, but not really. That's about what we expect from Matt Turner now. There's going to be a goal that goes in that probably Tim Howard would have saved. So am I shocked by it? No, not really. And I don't know what he could see. Tim Ream. I think it's getting to the point where, despite all his positives with the ball at his feet, might be a little bit of a problem going into the World Cup with his lack of speed, his lack of quickness. And, he's still a good decision maker. He's still a great passer, but can you afford that deeper into the World Cup when you're not playing Paraguay? And by the way, let's not kid ourselves. That's not going to be easy either. So do you really, when Trusty would be another guy, I think, that stepped up, and he played well against Uruguay as well, maybe it's time to say, hey, maybe the back three are Trusty, Richards, and McKenzie. And I'm fine. You want to put Freeman in there? I'll live with that too. But I think there was a time that he's going to have to make that decision. And the better, the sooner the better, I mean, because I think we all know now, and I'm a huge Tim Ream fan. I'm a Fulham fan, a lifetime Fulham fan. I love Tim Ream, but it's time to move on.
Father Time's undefeated, no matter how good you are.
Yep.
At one point. Well, I want to say too, for me, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. I don't think I've talked to you about this particularly. I would think someone whose stock is way down. First of all, I want to say I don't think anyone had a great camp. No one had a great camp. It felt like it was a waste of time. It was a total waste of time.
Yeah, except for the first 20 minutes of both games.
Yes, yeah, but in total, waste of time, right?
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick, there's a couple players I could pick. You hit the nail on the head on Ream and Turner. I think that they have completely exited the starting conversation. They cannot start for this team. If you want to bring them there to be, a veteran presence in the locker room, I can understand that, but they have no business starting. Neither one of them do. The guy for me whose stock is down, Derek, is Christian Pulisic. And listen, I don't want to get into the tabloids about his personal life because it's, I don't know if it's true or whatever. That's just speculation. But what I do know is he's had one good game in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
He had an assist like 2 weeks ago for Milan, or a week ago, whatever, a week and a half ago. He had an assist, right?
Yep.
But he's been pretty piss poor the last 3 months. And
yeah.
And I think he was bad in this camp. He was trying to do too much. He had some sloppy touches. He turned the ball over. He did not look confident. He looked like he had no chemistry with his teammates. It was so bad that first game with him. No matter how good the team played the first 20 minutes of the first half, he was so bad that Poach said, look, I can't let this guy free roam. He's all over the place. He's playing messy. I'm going to isolate him. I'm going to play him up top as a false nine in this second game. So that way he's like more central.
Yeah.
And he stunk the joint up. He was terrible. And I looked this up last night. I don't know. I think maybe I tweeted this. Maybe you've seen it already. Christian Pulisic has not scored for the U.S. Men's national team since November of 2024.
It's been 18 months.
18 months. He's went 8 straight games without scoring a goal. This is the longest stretch in his USMNT career without scoring a goal. I think it's fair to say he's in the worst form he's been in since he's wore the red, white, and blue.
I think that while still showing he can make runs, we used to call this the pucker factor. Okay. His anus is so tight right now. He is trying so hard. And I don't know if you've ever been in a place. I've played sports before, and I know when you're trying so hard sometimes, it's the worst you play. You cannot do that. It's a horrible place to be mentally. He is trying so hard, and what he needs to do is relax and unpucker, play naturally, let it come to him, play with his teammates. We saw some really good runs that never amounted to anything, and even some good pushes and steals from the Portuguese team. But what happened after that? he puckered up. He was indecisive. He couldn't make a decision. He was clutching, and he couldn't let it go. In darts, they call that dartitis, when the best players in the world are so fearful of what the result is going to be of them throwing the dart. They can't let the dart go, right? Dartitis. Well, here we have a case of it right here. Pulisic had an opportunity with just a simple through ball. During the live, I was like, now. Never passed it. Dribbled it all the way into the box against Portugal. Stopped, turned around, lost possession. I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy needs to chill out, relax, and let himself be himself. That's really hard to do, but I think he's going through a crisis of identity right now. Who am I? What am I? Oh, I just need to go harder, try harder. That doesn't work. And so there's a perfect peace of mind you can get to that a lot of players in our history have found that have also had lots of talent. And I think it's easier for them to do it, like the Messis or all those things. You can find peace of mind. He's in a place where he has the ability, but he is right now piling boulders on his own shoulders. Hard to watch. Very hard to watch.
Well, I think he has goalitis, right? And I think one thing that's disappointing is this is supposed to be the prime of his career. He's 27 years old. This is supposed to be where you put the mental and physical together. I mean, that's normally what they say.
Yep.
And this is in his own backyard. This is supposed to be the moment. And it feels like I said, this is the worst version I've ever seen of Pulisic for the USMNT. Like, he's just, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know why he feels he needs to do this. I don't know what the pressure, personal, whatever the case may be, maybe just completely disconnected with what's going on with the current USMNT from the coaching and everything else. I don't know, man. But and my one friend said that maybe I'm being a little too harsh on him. But here's the thing. He is the most important player for us to go anywhere. He's the X factor. He's the guy. Now, I'm not saying he's got to be worldly for us to go anywhere, but he has to be good. He's not good right now. He's bad. And if he plays bad, we're in trouble. If any other team, any other country in this entire World Cup, their best player, right? He's our best player. You and I agree. If he's in form, he's our best player. I love Weston McKennie, but if Pulisic is on point, he's our best player.
I mean, I'll go into that in a second. I'll let you finish though.
Okay, if any other country's best player was not just average, stunk the joint up. If Messi was bad, not just average, if he was bad, would Argentina be guaranteed to win? Would they struggle if Messi was inherently bad and hurting his team?
I think they have enough players around them they could probably make up for it. We don't.
Probably, but it would be different, right? Obviously, when that player is not playing up to that level. If Erling Haaland played bad for Norway, if he was bad,
that's more of a problem then. But
yeah,
Messi being bad for Argentina, okay, that can be compensated for. Haaland being bad for Norway, harder to compensate for. I will say this: Pulisic being bad or not even being there at all, we can overcome. We did it versus Uruguay. Who is missing that window? Pulisic. It's the best window we've had. What I am saying to you here is, yes, on paper, he's the best player we have. The last 6 months, best player we have is Weston McKennie. Other important players, Adams, plays for Bournemouth. When he plays, he's phenomenal. I think sometimes we put a little too much weight on how important Pulisic is, and I think he's put too much weight on how important he is. I think this team can actually function without Christian Pulisic and play just fine. Now, an exceptional Christian Pulisic, that's good. A bad Christian Pulisic is a waste of all of our time because he is not taking advantage of his teammates who are also good players. Balogun's a good player. McKenzie's a good player. Tessman's a good player. Way is a good player. There are lots of fine players, not world class, but they're good players. And in his own conference, he said, wow, now the great thing for me is I don't have to be the superstar. Well, show it by getting the other guys involved. You don't have to play Superman ball. And so I think in some ways, when he is where he's at now, he becomes a detriment. We can actually play better without him, as we did versus Uruguay, if he's going to be like this. Sorry. That's how I feel.
No, I definitely agree with that. And, I thought we played, there was good spurts, not just against Uruguay, but I mean, the Gold Cup, he didn't play at all. I mean, they made it to the final, they lost to Mexico, but there were some spurts there where we looked pretty good. Now, obviously, there's a lot of guys that were missing in that tournament, right? There's a lot of key guys, but we've proven that we can, like you said, look good without him. One other thing I want to talk to you about is, does Poch not like Ricardo Pepi? I mean, he didn't start a single game. Patrick Agyemang got more minutes in total than him. People, I did make a mistake last night when we did a post game, me and Adam. I said that Ricardo Pepi didn't play. He did play 20 minutes versus Portugal, but it was so forgettable because they were already down 4-1 or 5-1. But he got the assist to Patrick Agyemang. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, Derek, is this is the first camp since Poch has been the manager that Ballo and Pepi have both been healthy on the roster. Yeah, it's the first time.
So if you listen to Poch's interviews when he's talked about Agyemang 3 or 4 times. The thing he continues to emphasize is that Patrick, aka Bambi, brings the kind of play and that no other American player can bring as a center forward, meaning he's a large mammal. He's a very large mammal. And he's obviously proven through Derby that he's really good in the box and he can head a ball in. And if we do decide to do a lot more crossing, then that's maybe the guy you want in the box, not Pepi and not Balogun. That's a little weird, I have to admit. But I don't think that he dislikes Pepi, who, Pepi's a nice kid. But I don't know if he sees a role for him in the way that they're setting up. Otherwise, why did you just diss him completely and make him drop to number 3 or 4? If you want to bring Hadji right back from the injury bucket. Yeah, not looking. If I'm Pepi, we said this after the game on the live show. We said, if I'm Pepi, I'm fuming on the sideline right now. I am fuming. I'm not showing it to anybody. I'm holding it inside. But I am worried, concerned, and pissed that I got as little time to play as I did in this window. And God help me if there's some sort of injury you don't know about, but nothing I've heard. So it looks like that's just Poch's call. It's Poch's call.
Remember what I said? Wasted camp. And that's the
thing.
Oh, yeah. I just honestly thought we would see one, like we were going to see the ideal starting 11, one game, and then maybe the next game we were going to see similar starting 11, like, ideal, but maybe swap Pepi out for Ballo just to see how they function with each one. Maybe do that, like tinker with a couple positions that are more up in the air, debatably, just to see how they operate, right? Yeah. But that's not what happened. That's just not what happened. And I want you to give me your grade as we're closing out about this camp. And I said afterwards, I want to see some positivity. I want to see something. We don't have to win because it's a friendly, like it's not like do or die to win, but I want to see some respectable results, which we did not see. So for this camp, 1 through 10, 1 being absolute shit, 10 being perfect, I give it a 2.
So when you play 180 minutes and you get 45, 60 minutes total of competitive good play, what's 60 out of, so that's less than 50%. So that's an F. So that's a 1 or a 2 for me, best. This was, as you put it, a wasted window. Unless you want to consider both first halves and both 30 minutes of both both first halves as enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And I don't consider enough. Poach might consider enough because he's arrogant. He's like, it's fine. We don't have the top 100 players. It's fine. Yeah. What'd you expect? Well, yeah, it's a 1 or a 2. It's bad.
You know what I don't like too? Bad. I don't like the fact that people are saying online like, oh, but Will, they look good the 30 minutes. It's fine. It's like, how about you prove you can do it for 90 minutes? Because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how good you play for 30. You got to play 90 if you want to win. You have to play 90 minutes if you want to win these big games of the World Cup.
Well, then you do, but you have to talk to Poach about it because he's the one who decided to put 8 and 9 subs in per game. He's the one who should have known there are probably some casuals, probably a good group of them, who are going to see the score of this game or watch this game and went, holy crap, we're awful. That's building no enthusiasm to the World Cup, which necessarily isn't his job. But you would think it's something he might want to take into consideration. We need to build momentum with the team internally and the fans externally, because those things together during the World Cup are going to be powerful. But instead, we just went out there and got our asses handed to us by Belgium. And then both games we played well for about 30, 35 minutes. And that's it, folks. That was a wasted. And again, you can blame it on the players if you want, but most of them during the chaos time in the second halves looked like they didn't know their ass from their hands. Like they were confused. They looked really confused out there. Like, what are we doing out here? What's my role? What is my role in this? I'm not 100% sure what my role is. Who's covering the guy at the top of the box on the corner kick? Oh, nobody? Oh, okay. That's how it looked. It looked chaos. Brett and I said it 1,000 times. It's a chaotic mess out there. That is a chaotic mess. And a chaotic mess is going to get beat. And it's going to have holes. And it's going to look weak. And it's going to be taken advantage of. So that's what we got. You can blame it on the players, but I'm laying most of this on Poach, and he better get his shit together because I am not letting this go by without criticism, period.
Well, I want to know what everyone else thinks. Do you guys think it's more the players or Pochettino? Who's more to blame for this waste of a camp? Let us know down below. Before Derek heads out, which we appreciate him for coming on with us to do a post-camp review of what we saw, Derek, tell the people where they can find your and Brett's show at and what time you guys are normally on.
Yeah, find us at the Street Right Card. We are on Mondays and Thursdays. Well, once things heat up, we'll be on Thursdays as well at 8:15 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays. You can find us at the Street Card. At the Street Right Card, I believe that's where that's Brett, by the way, not me. I'm just Derek Ritchie out there. I'm just myself, not a blue check, but you can find us there, social media, as well as on YouTube.
Man, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I wish it was under better circumstances. I wish we were talking more positively, but hey, the most important thing has yet to come, and hopefully we fix things by then. Derek, I appreciate my friend. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.